You're listening to Midlife Strategies for Badass Women, the no BS podcast for women over 40 who are sick of playing by someone else's rules. I'm your host, Sue Willoughby, badass midlife strategist, truth teller, and professional fire starter for midlife reinvention. Around here, we don't do fluff. We do real talk, bold strategies, and badass breakthroughs. Because midlife isn't a crisis, it's your damn power move. If you're all in, unapologetic, and ready to reinvent, let's get started. Hey, badass listeners, welcome back to Midlife Strategies for Badass Women. I'm your host, Sue Willoughby, and I am flying solo again this week. So this week, the episode is actually going to build on what I talked about last week. So if you didn't listen to last week's episode, go check it out. It's only 8 minutes and it'll be good. But this is also a standalone episode, so don't feel compelled. So if you listened, then you know that I was been feeling a little bit off lately, low energy, not quite myself, just off. I talked about giving myself permission to be there without trying to fix anything immediately. And sometimes when we do that, it can be a little bit challenging. So after sitting with that a little bit more, I started to notice something else underneath it. And to be honest, this week I had one day that I felt like all of the stuff kind of came together and I was kind of incapacitated. I felt really sad. I gave into it completely. I opened up a puzzle. I dumped out a 1,000-piece puzzle. I focused on that and I allowed myself to do something else I never do, and that is play games on my phone. And I just gave myself the day to just completely not be productive, do something that was completely mindless or that distracted my mind in a different direction, and I just let go. So once I did that, the next morning I woke up and I felt actually much better. But like I said, I was also feeling something underneath all of this because I've been working on a couple of projects and just not feeling motivated to do anything. So this low level kind of under the surface feeling of scarcity is the thing that was sneaking in and influencing how I was thinking and how I was making decisions about what I was going to do, how I was showing up, and all of the things. I also have a feeling that I'm not alone on this one. So let's start here, because I think that this matters. Things feel tight right now. Things feel uncertain right now. The cost of living is going up. Case in point, I went to get gas yesterday and I get gas points when I shop at a specific grocery store. And I had accumulated like 80-cent discount per gallon. And I was like, shoot, yeah, that's awesome. Let's do that. And I looked at the price on the pump after I had put in my discount and it was $4.89. I was like, holy shit, with the 80-cent discount per gallon, oh my God. So I don't know what the current administration is talking about by saying gas is $2 a gallon. That is hallucination. Anyway, there's also a lot of noise in the world, right? There's uncertainty everywhere, depending on where you look and what you're paying attention to. The other thing is your nervous system is also paying attention. So when your nervous system pays attention, you have a hard time regulating how you feel, how you show up. So if you've been feeling a little more cautious about things, maybe a little more constricted, I'm going to talk about some things, and it's not about pretending that everything is fine when it's not. Because what I've been noticing is not just about what's happening out there in the world around me. It's all of those things, plus how quickly that external pressure turns into internal decision-making pressure and stifling everything that I do and say and think. So that's kind of where that scarcity reality starts to take over, and where it lives, it likes to feed on that kind of stuff. It's not even in big dramatic ways. It's kind of in small, quiet, almost invisible ways that you don't realize that you are in that scarcity mindset until you stop and think about it. It shows up like when you hesitate to invest in yourself. Maybe somebody invited you to go to a talk, or somebody, a retreat came up that you thought was interesting. And you're like, I would love to do that. I know that it would be really rejuvenating, but I just can't. I can't afford it. I can't do that. I can't. So even when you know it would move you forward, you hold yourself back. It also shows up when you overthink something simple. Because if you're trying to make the perfect decision, let me clue you in on something. There is no perfect decision. It's only the one you make. And if you don't make a decision, that shit is just going to spin up in your head and drive you crazy. It also shows up when you stay in something, whether it be a situation, a job, a relationship, or something else, even if it doesn't feel aligned anymore, but it does feel safe. And we do tend to feel safe when we are in a situation that we know, even if it's uncomfortable. So it's safer to stay stuck than it is to actually make a move. It also shows up when you grip tighter instead of stepping back and actually thinking clearly. If you are holding on to every little thing because you're afraid to let go of something, let me tell you, it's going to keep you stuck as well. The tricky part is it feels like you're being responsible by not spending or not being generous with your time or your spirit or anything else. You're holding everything so tight. You're like, I can't let go of that because I can't afford to replace that, or whatever happens. It feels like you're being smart, careful, and practical. But sometimes it's just fear in a really convincing outfit. So think about that for a minute. And I think that this is part of what I was feeling last week when I said that I just felt off. I didn't feel like I was accomplishing anything. I didn't want to spend any more money on tools or training or whatever it was. And that scarcity mindset crept in. You can even feel scarcity when you want to bring something out, like you're like launching a course or launching a program, but you feel like I can't waste my time on that because nobody's going to buy it anyway. That's scarcity. That's also fear. Fear breeds scarcity. It wasn't just the low energy that I was feeling. It was a subtle tightening, that pulling back, that second guessing everything a little bit more than usual. Now, we're all cautious when we want to put something out into the world, or when we want to make a decision to spend a certain amount of money. So here's the part that I think we need to get really honest about. Scarcity itself is not the problem. When you have a scarcity mindset, or you're feeling scarcity, is just information. Just like anything else, it's just information. It's your brain and your body saying, hey, pay attention, something feels uncertain. That doesn't mean that you have to stay in that, and that is not wrong. But letting that feeling run the entire show, that's where we start to shrink. That's where we play small. That's where we like to live because it feels comfortable. That's where we start making decisions from contraction instead of from clarity. So it clouds our judgment. It clouds that decision-making process. And those are very different places to operate from. So instead of trying to eliminate scarcity, because it's not realistic to do that, we all are going to feel scarcity, what if the goal is just to simply notice it? It's kind of like when you're doing meditation and you're sitting there and you're trying to meditate and focus on your breathing, and up pops a thought. And you're like, well, shit, there goes that meditation session. But the thing is, if you just notice it and say, okay, great, thanks for popping up, I got to get back to my meditation, right? Just acknowledging the fact that the scarcity exists, then you are not giving it any power. It's awareness, it's curiosity, and then it's release. So if you catch it in the moment before it makes the decision for you, you can say, hey, thanks for bringing that up. That's a good point. I will take that into consideration. And then you can have a more logical conversation with yourself about what it makes sense to do or not to do. Because once you see it, you get your power back. You can take a pause, you can take a breath, and you can ask a better question. What's the safest move? Maybe it's not spending $50,000 on something. Maybe it's spending $500 on something that will give you the same result. But you still can continue to feel aligned and move forward. So you can ask yourself, am I making this decision because it feels right or because I'm afraid? That question alone can change everything because scarcity will always push you to play small and stay stuck. And I'm not saying go out and make reckless decisions or ignore reality. If you extend yourself a little bit, then you never know. Something fantastic could happen and you will be like, wow, glad I spent that $20 or whatever it is. I'm talking about money, but it can be a lot of other things. Time can feel scarce. Emotions can feel scarce, especially if you've been running on empty. Resources of all kinds can feel scarce. This is about staying grounded in reality without letting it pull you out of yourself. This is where equanimity comes in again. That calm center, that place inside you that I talk about all the time that doesn't get whipped up around every headline, every price increase, every what if, all of those things. Scarcity pulls you out of that center. Awareness is going to bring you back to that center, to your point of equanimity. And when you're back in that place, you make different decisions. You make clearer decisions, stronger decisions, and decisions that actually move you forward instead of keeping you stuck. So if you've been feeling that lately, that tightening, that hesitation, that second guessing, I want you to know this and understand this. I'm going to tell you this over and over again. You're not broken and you're not alone. You're just responding to what's happening around you. But you still get to choose how you respond to that response. And that's where your power lies. So once again, if you listened to last week's episode and you're still feeling a little bit off, this might be part of it. Not because anything is wrong with you, but because there's a lot going on around you, and it's easy for that to quietly shape how you think and how you show up. The goal isn't to fix it overnight. Don't be unrealistic. It's just to take notice and come back to yourself. Come back to your center. Find your equanimity, one decision at a time. And please, I'm begging you again, give yourself some grace on this. You're navigating a lot. We all are. But you are stronger and more aware and more capable than you think. And that matters. It matters a lot. So thanks for being here with me again this week and going through some of these things with me, because I appreciate you. And if this episode has resonated, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram, Sue_Willoughby. And as always, I'll see you next week for more midlife strategies for badass women.
Hi, my name is Adam Shibley. I'm the host of Podcasting Business School, and I am the creator of the Podcast Growth Coach Certification Program. And today I'm here to brag on my newest certified podcast growth coach, Sue Willoughby. Sue has really excelled as she's gone through the certification process, which was not easy, by the way. She completed all the homework. She did all the testing. She even did a one-on-one final exam with me. And I was just continuously impressed from week to week, the improvement that she made. And I'm really impressed at the creativity that she displayed, but also her ability to effectively communicate and coach people. So if you're somebody who feels like your podcast could use a little bit of a pick-me-up, if you feel a little bit stuck with your download growth or maybe in need of a rebrand, I highly, highly, highly recommend talking to Sue and talking about getting her help with your podcast growth.